Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, dude and dudettes, Christians and Christianettes, uh, bishop and bishopettes, apostles, and yeah, you get what I'm trying to say. Good afternoon. The name is Makawa Katide, and welcome to PK Unshackled Live. Now, for those who still don't know what PK Unshackled Live is, basically we sit here and chat about very important stuff in a very casual way. So we speak about everything from spirituality to religion to money to marital affairs to anything that we deem important to society. We speak about. And today we have, listen to my voice. I'm gonna change my voice now. We have the world's greatest Lehlohonolo Mazindo. Ndati, legaina.
Written like I want is
The thing, every time I chill with you on these forums, I'm expecting fireworks because you're one of those people. You're like me. When we speak our truth, we speak it to a level of we don't whitewash things, and
yeah,
um
yeah.
and today's topic, I'm gonna let you introduce it because ain't that it had and that. Anyway, before we start, kindly tell people who you are, what do you do, and yeah.
Hey guys, and welcome to the stream, guys. And my name is Lehlohonolo Mazindo. I'm actually a registered counselor by profession. Yeah, I've been in the counseling business for at least 15 years now, like professionally registered with Health Professions Council of South Africa. So one of my greatest niches is marriage. I've been doing marriage counseling all my life or in all my adult life. So it's also mental health issues. I deal mostly with marriage, divorce, mental health issues or depression. I call it MDD, marriage, divorce, depression. I'm a father of three, but this is not my first marriage; it's my second marriage. So I'm a very, very likely candidate to speak about marriage. But the nice thing about me is that I don't only know how to get it, how to make it work. I know how to collapse it, how to break it down, how to make it fail. So I actually have a piece of publication. I have not published it yet, but it's about successful ways to make your marriage fail because I know that I've been there. I've dealt with people going through divorce, marriages, marriage, premarital counseling, marriage problems, and mental health problems as well. Currently staying in Pretoria. I spent most of my life, I think about 37 years of my life in Free State, Velkom. That's my hometown. That's where I was born. So ke Mosotho Free State. So what else do you want to know about me? Okay, I'm an educator as well. I teach psychology in one of the private institutions of higher learning here in Pretoria campus. So yeah, I think you will know more about me as we go along.
Okay. No, I know a lot about you. We've met and but some people out there might not know about you. And also to qualify what we're going to talk about.
Mhm.
Because when you raised the topic, I was like, I have never thought of it. I have never thought that a marriage can fail even before it starts. You know,
Mm.
to me, the lay person, it doesn't even make sense. I don't even know where to start thinking about it. But um, so yeah, man, just shoot, just shoot. Where do we start? So the topic is what?
The topic today is we are going to talk about why marriages fail or succeed long before they start. And yeah, that's the topic. So that's what I'm going to talk about now. I'm going to talk about from my professional experience and from my personal experience as well. So there's something for everyone today.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because um when we grow up, one of the epitomes of being grown is that you get married. One of the natural developments of human beings is that you get married. You know,
Yeah.
at some stage you want companionship, you want somebody, you want to procreate, you want all these things. But unfortunately, and I say this openly, just cover to about one of the things ere to other people, ke taba ya lenyalo.
Mm,
You understand? We
mm,
understand the ceremony, we understand the procreation part of it, we
mm.
understand who tsa lelapa ntho tse kaofela, but even way before, way before, we do not understand the things that can make a marriage fail. Now, according to your experience, I mean, the title in itself is Kurgi Giteron Dad. It's a massive, and I hope that we'll spread this video. We'll make sure that a lot of men watch this video, and women, so that we understand exactly what you're saying. So we'll make sure that a lot of people watch it because it's very informative. So, what do you mean when you say, when you ask this question, why do marriages fail or succeed long before they start?
Right.
Where do we start?
Yeah, let me start from the work that I do as a marriage counselor. At least I've dealt with hundreds of cases so far in the past 15 years of marriage. And in almost each and every case, especially what they call a marriage problem, I discovered that, you know what? People in marriage do not have marriage problems. They have problems that started before they got married. And the problems caught up with them in the marriage. And the bulk of those problems it's not about, it's not a marriage problem, it's a parental, it's the aftermath of poor parenting. Yeah, that's how I can put it. It's actually an aftermath of poor parenting, because I discovered that, you know what, marriages end long before they start, including my own. My first marriage, it ended long before it started, both from both parties, but I can only narrate my personal experience. I mean, I grew up in a very violent family, like and a lot of other things, exposures that I got as a child. So I'm going to talk about two reasons why marriages fail or succeed before they start. But then I will focus more on why they fail, because that's what we are trying to stop. And then why they succeed, so that we can continue to do what works. So the first reason is how children are raised. You know, the best time to shape your child's future is that time where you think they are too young to understand. You know, right, we love it a lot, especially we Black generation. They are too young to understand. And that is dangerous, because the bulk, let me just make up a number, 90% of everything that we do is driven from our unconscious behavior. One of the theorists in psychology, he makes a metaphor. He uses a metaphor of an iceberg. You know, when you look at an iceberg, the top part is this small, but underneath the water, where the eyes cannot see, it's a huge bulk. So that huge bulk is made up of our unconscious mind. So our conscious mind, anything and everything that is within our awareness, it's only this part that we can see. And then usually we think if we can eliminate this part that we can see, we have dealt with the problem in totality. And then you wonder, we have eliminated the problem, but we still hit against the rocks. We still experiencing a shipwreck. What's going on is because there are a lot of things under the surface where the eyes cannot see, that have not been addressed, that have not been dealt with. And these things accumulate when we think children are too young to understand. Um, as parents, we are the first, the initial model of the world to our children. We teach them,
Mm,
We teach them what the world is, what the world looks like. We give them a concept in their mind in terms of what the world looks like, including love and marriage. And whether we are deliberate about teaching them or we just practicing, they are observing. They are making their own pictures. And that this happens usually in the first 7 years of life. That is where we think they are too young to understand. We will start addressing them when they are a bit older. But that is when, if I can ask you about, if I can say God, you already have a picture in your mind. In Sesotho, we called him Ntate Modimo. Like, I had a picture of Ntate, an old man with, okay, he must be an old man, and so it should be white beard because men have beards, and he must be somewhere up there. Like, I have a picture because that is how our minds function. Our minds function with pictures. So everything that we do to children or in the presence of children, we are painting pictures in their mind in terms of how life should be. And then they spend the rest of their life filtering everything through the pictures that we have painted in their minds. So I'm sure you can see where I'm going now. So so they filter everything else based on their childhood experiences, those experiences that we thought they were too young to understand. Because, for example, a child is 6 months old and you're shouting at each other in front of him or her because you think, this person is still too young. But then that thing, because they don't understand it, they can't reason with it. They can't give meaning to it. It goes straight to their unconscious mind. And that is where it will drive most of what they do as they grow older. Let me just make just one case to make progress in my discussion now. I remember several times I've had cases of a man saying to me, you know what, every time I say to my wife, I love her, she freaks out. She freaks out at me. She wants to strangle me. She wants to kill me. And each time I raise this thing with her, why do you always want to kill me each time I say I love you? She denies it. She denies it. So I feel like I'm stupid because she's denying something that is happening all the time. And then I would, because now I do understand where it comes from, I would just ask that woman about the childhood. You find that when she was about 5 or 4 or 6 or too young to remember, she was molested sexually by an uncle, by a stepfather, by a cousin. And each time that uncle or stepfather felt the pleasure of molesting a child, the child is feeling pain. And every time the uncle feels this pleasure, he will be saying to the girl, you know, I love you, I love you. And then we spoke about the last time we were together in a television show. We spoke about Pavlov's experience. The experiment. You remember the experiment where he presented food to the dog and he rang the bell, and he did that several times. And then after a while, he removed the food. He only rang the bell, and guess what happened? The dog salivated at the sound of the bell because the dog was conditioned to react from a bell the way it reacts to food. So every time the uncle says "I love you," when he is inflicting pain and molesting this girl, he is actually conditioning this girl to react to "I love you" the same way she reacts to pain and frustration. So it becomes hard to tell the difference between love and pain, because every man who says "I love you," you react, you protect yourself. Instead of reciprocating love, you retaliate with anger because you have unconsciously conditioned, your mind is unconsciously conditioned to interpret love as pain, as attack, as violation, as molestation, as sexual abuse. Yes.
So the conditioning, our psychological conditioning, or the unconscious mind's conditioning, is important to how you would fare in marriage. Is that what you're saying?
Very much so, because that's what makes a lot of things go wrong in the marriage. People know what the other person is doing, and I know what I'm doing, but most of us, we don't even know why we keep on doing what we are doing. Have you ever thought to yourself, you know what? I know this is wrong. I shouldn't be doing it, but I don't know why I can't stop doing it. It's because maybe somehow some seeds of that behavior have been planted in your childhood and they make you inclined to certain behaviors. That's why it's impossible for me to judge anyone, because I've never been through the same childhood experiences that you have been in. I don't have the same things in my unconscious mind that you have. One of the cases was a man.
Sorry, but I understand your analysis, and I fully appreciate what you're saying. Now, the difficult thing is, okay, so here's Makawe. I'm about to get married. Where do I start? Where do I start in terms of addressing the subconscious? Because something that's in the subconscious mind, I don't necessarily think about it. I wouldn't be expected to think about it. And naturally, as Batwabat, you know, marriage is more about celebrating, bringing two families together, having kids, to increase the lineage or whatever, but it has nothing to do with and the readiness. And this is where maybe I should ask you, when are you ready? When are you ready? When are you truly ready, or to be in a position to say that subconsciously I am clear? Because I think, okay, Lina, when I talk, I refer to myself. One of the things that I have had to deal with is anger. I get very angry, very, very, very angry. Now I realize that in the past I used to shout. Before I got married, I used to shout and you know, be verbally abusive. Got married and realized I can't do that in marriage, so I internalize the anger. You understand? Now, my hope and prayer is that my marriage does not collapse. But the reality is, due to the fact that there's something in me, in my subconscious, that needs to be addressed, might be a hindrance. I'll tell you one thing. I, Makawe, have seen. I'm angry at the church. They know. They took my father. My father was never there. And when he was there, you know, he was also a pastor to me and not a father and whatnot. So from that angle, you know, there's a lot of stuff I don't actively think about it now, but I know it's there. You understand? Now, two things. Firstly, how do you address this before you get married? And secondly, how do you address this whilst you are in marriage?
Right. Let me start by saying, but who can blame you for being angry at the church when they took your father when you needed him the most, when you never had the concept of a father that most of the people did have. In your mind, a father is someone who will leave you for someone else or for other people. So when you think about a father, or even think about yourself as a father, that could arouse the anger itself in you. Not only when you think about a father, but when you think about yourself. Sometimes your son will be saying Papa or Daddy, especially if they address you the way you used to address your father. That anger could come and you don't understand, why am I angry when my son addresses me? It's because there is anger that is being planted in your unconscious mind as a result of your father being taken away, like leaving you for, like, making you feel like you don't fall into his priorities. So that anger, if we have to do something effective with it, we need to address it from those times when your father was taken away from you several times, more than once. over and over and over and over again until your mind developed a concept about a father as someone who will leave you at any time and come back when you are asleep, and when you get happy to see him in the morning, he's gone again. So that those it's a lot of other things. I can make a lot of other examples. But before I come to before I answer your questions, because I want to move to the next reason why marriages fail.
Okay.
I was dealing with a man who was a serial cheater. I mean, this man, like he even accepted himself that there's nothing I know I'm doing something wrong. I know I could lose my marriage. And if you put a gun on the head of my child and you say, if I cheat one more time, I'm gonna have to lose my child because I can't control myself. And when I went deep to the childhood, he used to witness the mother having sex with men and those men paying her. So he was too young to understand. But that went to the subconscious mind. You can have sex, and sex will give you pleasure. Sex will give you a reward. A reward is what? The money. So I had to help him deal with that. We call it initial sensitizing event. The first exposure to sex was a sex that was done by the mother, the person that I look up to, the person, and this person was rewarded, and I was watching. So we needed to deal with it, like try to make it conscious, bring it to his consciousness so that he's aware why he's behaving the way he does. That's what we do in counseling. And that brings me to the answer to your question. Before you get married, when you go for premarital counseling, we don't tell you what's going to happen. People do it wrong. People do marriage counseling so wrong. Because especially the premarital counseling, because that is where we are going to help you make all the unconscious thoughts conscious so that you can deal with them with a level of consciousness, asking you about things that happened in your childhood, and randomly speaking. And while you speak at random, like helping you access the unconscious mind, then you will be able to speak about those things, and we will be able to help you deal with them before they happen. That is why marriage seminars are not enough. You need to go for counseling. You need to go for therapy. Someone who is trained to help you take a time, what do we call it? Time travel back into your past, into your childhood, when you were too young to understand. Uncover all those patterns that have been established in your mind that are responsible for everything that you do today, and you don't even know what are those things. We have to bring them to your consciousness, because once we bring them to your consciousness, then we can give you strategies to help you deal with it. Same applies with when you are already married. We have to take you on a time journey, on a time trip back to your childhood, especially the early childhood, because that is where most of the unconscious things happen. We learn, like, that's where we get mostly conditioned. So it's not something that happens overnight, something that happens over time. That's why we recommend therapy for you to be able to deal with those things. And then yeah, so that's what's happening. I definitely recommend counseling and therapy. You don't have to wait until something is wrong in your marriage. Just talk to the therapist. Say, you know what, I have a problem of the things that we all have, those things that we don't want to do but we keep on doing, and we want to quit and we can't. Like, for example, masturbation. We judge people who masturbate. Can I tell you a bit of my story around masturbation? I'm the person who struggled the most with masturbation. It almost became an addiction. And every time I masturbated, I would feel terribly guilty. And I didn't know why. Because this is my body. I should be exploring it. I shouldn't be feeling guilty for exploring my body. Then I had to think about, why have I been battling so much with masturbation? And I remembered I was about 2 or 3 years old. I was still a toddler. I was sleeping in the same bed with my uncle, my father's brother. And my uncle played with my penis for about 5 to 10 seconds. And then I could feel some kind of pleasure. As soon as he was done, I continued playing with myself. And then he was very hard on me. What are you doing? You see? And then at that time, I felt two things: pleasure for playing with myself, after he played with me, and guilt because he reprimanded me so harshly when I was doing it. And it grew up with me. I couldn't understand. Why can't I get over this? If masturbation makes me feel so guilty, why do I continue with it? And why can't I stop it? But those two things were paired, and they were somewhere packed in my unconscious mind. And as soon as I visited that trip, I no longer struggled with the issue of masturbation. This is an example, something that happened when my uncles thought I was too young to understand, and then he planted something in me that caused me to behave in a way that I didn't understand. So you ask yourself, why am I so violent? Why do I keep on attacking? And then, even though, I mean, it's sometimes we promise people will never do things, and then we break those promises. But we don't break those promises to those people. We break them to ourselves, because we keep on promising ourselves over and over again that, you know what, I will never ever do this thing ever again. Guess what? When the emotions have subsided a couple of days later, you are doing that as well. So those are the things that went wrong. So many things that went wrong in our childhood that are affecting our marriages and leading to divorce. On the other hand, there were things that went right. Parents who loved one another openly, the children could witness them being happy and treating each other right. Because whatever you do to your children or in front of your children, you are teaching them two things, especially when it comes to marriage. Number one, you are teaching them how to love their future spouses. Number two, you are teaching them what to expect from their future spouses. If you are cheating on your wife, and you are teaching your daughter to accept the man who will cheat on him. Because there are wives who say, I hate being cheated on. I don't want a man who cheats on me. I would ask, but why are you staying? Why are you not going? Don't you believe in divorce? No, I do. But why are you staying? I don't know. It's because they observed the mother staying, even when it hurt.
You know,
and then and I say to the fathers, when you cheat on your wife, you are teaching your daughter to stay in a relationship where she is cheated on. In her mind, it's okay to do that, because she doesn't.
It's enjoyable, because one of the things that I insist on being with my kids 24/7 if I can. Like now, they're in the other room doing something.
Right.
And one of the reasons is I want them to see how I love their mother. I want them to see the affection,
Yes.
and I want them to feel that it is okay to be in a loving environment. Some kids, or as a matter of fact, some grown-ups, you'd say to somebody you love them, and they'll not understand the concept of being loved individually and loved communally. To them, it's like, what are you talking about? So, and I think the onus is on us parents, to change the narrative that as men. I always refer to men because I've never been a woman, but this can include women as well. It's we seek help when things are bad. I can't deal with your anger. I can't deal with hey, and the problem is but you're also a therapist, so you know what you're talking about. Now, pastors, and I say this to everyone who's watching this, and people who are going to watch this in the future. Pastors are not necessarily trained therapists. Just because you spoke to 20 people before and sort of helped them in their marriage does not qualify you as a therapist. So seek help from the right people who will help you on the journey properly. I am not doubting Tapelo. I'm not doubting God's wisdom upon pastors, but seek the right help. I always say to people, if you struggle get in touch with somebody who will help you. As people, kore batho batlo re. You understand? Batlo re. I mean, in my case, you know, I probably should make a call tomorrow morning to somebody and say, you know, I had a chat with Lehlohonolo Mazindo yesterday. Said this anger of mine might be related to something that happened to me as a child, or that happened when I was a child. Because those are two different things, and it's manifesting now. And the fact already, you know, I don't externalize my anger issues, it doesn't mean it's okay. You understand? And that's where maybe things get out of hand. Just because I don't beat my wife, just because I don't say like to her or F you or all those things, I internalize, and you know, I sit there and you know, and build up and maybe that's a worse problem than slapping a person, or because it's also causing a lot more damage to me internally. And I can guarantee you, a lot of men are going through what I'm going through.
Yes.
You said something one day. You said men's instincts are aggression and affection. Am I?
Yes. And erection, the third one.
We cannot leave that one out, can we?
Yes. Those are the impulses that drive everything that we do.
Yeah.
Love,
But
affection, erection.
But we take the aggression element lightly. We take it lightly. We don't address it enough. We don't talk about you know, and you must remember, anger issues are not only manifested in instantaneously. It can be a process. It can be a process, a build up, and it gets to a point your marriage collapses and whatnot. So I see I've got comments here from but hi Nunu. The only one who's Nunu here is you. And I've learned today that it's important to be aware of what's happening in our subconscious mind. Thanks, guys. No, we thank you, Tumelo. But Daddy, one of the things that I like about you, you always advise people to open up. Now, we don't open up, that we don't open up, and again to and the other side of it is mama yimbogoto. You understand? Instead of it being an empowering tool, it means that if you got problems, if you got psychological problems or what, you don't talk. Especially you don't talk to your man, because you'll seem a lesser mbogoto than what you think you are. Now, where does one start? Where does one start in terms of okay, let's go back to the topic, right? So the topic is, why do marriages fail or succeed long before they start? Let's address the long. So the long was that as a child, there might have been things happening around your life or within your life that lead you to build certain characteristics that will manifest later, right? So that's the first thing. Now, in terms of, I get it, as kids, we get to a stage where we identify as Makau, where I know I'm Makau. I'm this sexual being, I'm this personality. How does that period in our life also influence the long part of the topic?
Yeah, it's a very long psychology behind that. I mean, there are things that happen in our childhood, Jay, like we get fixated in them. Like for example, I just want to make a very very simple example about Sigmund Freud's approach when he speaks about the psychosexual stages and how they affect us growing old. Like for example, when you are a girl, he says you tend to develop affection and feelings for your father, and once you, but because there are things that do not allow you to do that, you decide to suppress that into your unconscious mind and you start identifying more with your mother. If you do not successfully navigate that stage, you might end up promiscuous, being obsessed with men and all those things. So it's not only about the parents, it's about how we experience, how we solve the developmental tasks and conflicts in our lives in childhood. So there are things that happen in our childhood that shape how we get attached to people and how we experience things. So, like the other thing that I used to struggle with a lot is every time we travel with my wife, either with a bus or with a taxi, public transport, I would get so anxious and I would get so angry, and we would have serious fights with her until I took myself. I also have a therapist. I go for therapy myself. So I do encourage my students as well. You know what? Every counselor needs a counselor and every therapist needs a therapist because we are not immune to the problem that we help people solve. So I discovered that when I was young, in my preschool years, I was about 4. My mother wanted to run away with me because my father wanted to assault her. And she went with me into the train. And then my father came into the train and he took us out very violently. She tried with a taxi. My father always came. She tried with a bus. My father came, did the same thing. And now I realized that, you know what, the reason why I developed travel anxiety with this mode of transport is because there are things that my father did that were striking so much fear and anger in me when I was a toddler in my preschool years that were unconsciously affecting me. And as soon as I made them conscious, I started dealing with them at a conscious level as well. So it's a lot of things that are happening. It's how things are done in the family. The fact that you are the firstborn and you get married to the lastborn, that could be a problem because firstborn are treated a certain way and lastborns are treated a certain way. And you grow up with that mentality. It affects how you do your marriage, how you do your relationship. Like another example is where I grew up, it was a lot of us in one house. So we couldn't greet each and every one of us. So I'm used to not greeting when I wake up, not greeting when I sleep. I get married to my wife. She was alone. They greeted every day. And she would be so mad that I'm not greeting her. And I would be wondering, but why are you so mad if I'm not greeting you? Because we are staying together. I see you, I acknowledge you, I see you are there and all those things. Because in my mind, I was not taught to me, greeting is not important. If you greet me, I get shocked. But if I didn't greet her, she got shocked because they didn't grow up with those things. I'm telling you, I'm trying to show you how small the things can be that make the big difference that could lead to a marriage dissolving at the end of the day. So it's a lot of things that are happening like this. If I could write a book of at least 30 chapters with this one and 1,200 pages, no kidding, talking about how our childhood affects how we do our marriages and relationships later on. So I want to
Write
go
the
to the
book.
second thing.
Write the
I'm,
book.
I'm,
I'll publish it. I'll
I'm on it,
publish it.
don't worry.
I'll
Don't worry.
publish it for you for free, my friend. I'm
I'm
telling you.
on,
We
thank
need
you.
we need we need such content, my brother.
Mm,
Now, the
mm,
critical
mm,
question. The critical question.
mm.
I know we spoke about all these things. You spoke about your experience. I spoke of my experience and whatnot. The question now is, do you still believe in marriage?
Yeah, what a good question. Sometimes I'm so mad that I still do because so much damage has happened in my childhood that makes me not a good husband, not an ideal husband, not the ideal marriage counselor because there's so much garbage that I accumulated in my past in my childhood that I'm still working on today. So I need my wife to be very patient with me, and fortunately she is. And that's why I can't blame my ex-wife for the failure of my marriage. She had nothing to do with it. She had her own baggage. I had mine. So but that means I still do believe in marriage. I don't know why do I believe in this thing so much when I shouldn't, when I should want to do nothing with it, because I never had good experiences from my childhood in as far as marriage is concerned. But guess what? I'm still here
but
preaching marriage.
yeah, but the thing is, the majority of us have had, if you speak about that subconscious imprint when we were kids, the majority of us did not have good experiences. So
Yes.
chances are it will affect our marriages one way or another.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, can you confidently say to a young couple, instead of cohabitating or fat and set, I would suggest that you guys get married? Because getting married, there's this attachment to being married that there's the forever element. You understand?
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
there's the forever element. So I don't know. It's hard. I mean, one young person was asking me, Makawi, would you advise me to get married? I said, honestly, I don't know. I don't know. But you know what, sir? What would you like to say in closing? Because we are hitting our 45-minute mark soon.
Yes, I
What would you
see.
like to say in closing? So the topic was why do I know that's a topic and a half. Why do marriages succeed or fail long before they start? What would you
Yeah.
like to say to the
Let me
listeners
start
out
by
there?
taking Let me start by taking the first 30 seconds to speak about the second reason. I'm not going to talk about that a lot.
Yeah.
Because it's linked to what you have just said, cohabiting, should I get married, dating, and all those things. One of the reasons why marriages fail or end before they start is because we give too much of our hearts too soon to too many people. And what happens? Some people, we give them our hearts at the age of 13. I'm already in love. I give someone my heart, they break it. 16, I give someone else, they break it. 18, they break it. And each time my heart gets broken and someone abuses me or makes me feel the pain, our brain is designed to protect us. So we adapt to protect ourselves. And the more we adapt to protect ourselves, we are losing the initial love that we had. By the time you hit 25 and you come across, let me say, the 18, the third one, 20, the fourth one, 20, 22, the fifth one, 20, 24, the sixth one. And by the time you get to the sixth one, he damages the heart altogether. And then after the heart gets damaged, the seventh one, who now will love you for real, comes in. Now you no longer have the heart to love the one who truly loves you. So don't underestimate those relationships and breakups. They're actually compromising your marriage because by the time the person who really loves you comes in, you will no longer have the love for that person, because it was taken away to people who were not even interested in you. So what I can say to you is, when things go wrong in your life, especially in your marriage, don't be too quick to go to your parents. Don't be too quick to go to your pastor, unless if your
No.
pastor has professional qualification. Let me tell
Yeah,
you
no,
why.
please,
Because
please,
number one,
please, pastors, no.
your parents are going to tell you not to do what you're doing. They don't understand why you are doing it. And they don't understand that 90% of what you are doing, they are the causes of it. So so every time you go to them, they talk to you, they reinforce the hatred that you have against them, the unconscious hatred. So it makes things worse instead of better. And then you go to the pastor will tell you what the Bible says. and the Bible says do this. End of story. They won't tell you that the same Bible says the good that I want to do, I don't do. And the evil that I don't want to do, I do. It's because we have inclinations to do what is wrong. And if we don't deal with those inclinations, we are not going to succeed doing what is right. So what you need to do, go to a professional. You know, people don't want to go to professionals because they think we are expensive. Try the cost of not going to a professional and going to someone who you will tell them your problems, then they preach about it on Sunday. You will see how costly it is, and then you will not understand. I have at least 100 clients that who couldn't afford my services, and I managed to help them anyway, because our profession binds us to help people who can't afford to pay us. So don't go to your friends, because your friends will take your side and your friends will be as hurt and as troubled as you are. Normalize going to a professional person, a trained person, an experienced person who will help you deal with your problems. Don't talk about your problems with anyone else and everyone else. That is why people don't want to open up, because they've spoken to too many people and they got disappointed each time. You don't have to speak to anyone. Speak to someone who is bound by law to keep confidentiality, to protect you, to not judge you, to not condemn you, and to go to the root of your problem and to deal with it from that level.
Okay, that was a fantastic episode. I've learned so much, and I realized that in as much as we host these things, we also need help. So the onus is on me to speak to somebody to say, how can I get? But just to read some last stuff here. Pindile Innocentia Mazindo says, I want to host you gentlemen in a conference. There's a lot to address. Dumelo again says the topic needs to continue again. There's a lot to address. We are dealing with a lot of old ghosts in our closet, subconscious mind, and they are affecting a lot of good relationships and marriages. So yeah, that it's very important. That's why, contrary to what other people are saying, the Triple B men's conference that's happening in June next year is going to change so many people's lives. So it's happening, and as one of the speakers, this is a platform to make people understand why we want to do it. This is important. We are not having these discussions at church. At church, about a men's conference who and then I don't have a problem with that, but there's very serious problems we have in our communities that we need to address, and not tomorrow, not next year, today. It's not coincidence that we're having this discussion today. We are saving somebody's lives. We are saving marriages. We are saving people's sanity. What's about all these things? If they pile up, you lose your mind, you lose yourself. And we thank the venerable Lehlohonolo Mazindo for gracing us with his presence, and his wonderful wife Upindile for allowing him and supporting you and support. I love the way you support each other, guys. God bless. But yeah, that is all from us. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for tuning in. What we'll do is we'll post the link to this episode on the socials, so that when you get time, you watch it and listen. And don't listen to me, because I waffle. I talk smack. But Mr. Mazindos is talking so much sense. And thank you once again, Tate. Have a great evening further, and adios.
It's always a pleasure, and thank you so much for having me here.
All right, buddy. Next time, we must do this next month again and talk about something else.
Absolutely.
I like talking to you, because one day in that I got buang nonsense. All right, my friend. Take care. We'll catch up later, nah?
Thanks. Keep well, eh?
Cheers, buddy.
Sharp.